Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC. We've got massive Liverpool news today. Alexander Isak transfer saga takes a fresh twist. Konate'S opens up with a tough admission ahead of the new season. Rodrygo enters the scene after Liverpool and Spurs talks. A world-class striker could be Anfield-bound, and we're breaking it all down right now. Smash that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for all things LFC. Hit the bell so you never miss a red-hot update. Alexander Isak complication removed as key Liverpool transfer figure flies in for tour. The latest Echo Tour diary entry as Liverpool forward Luis Diaz prepares to say his goodbyes. After landing on Sunday evening from Hong Kong, the first full day of Tokyo for Liverpool involved a trip to Ikoin Temple, in the Ryogoku district. The Red squad took part in a meditation session and were guided by a monk throughout, ahead of returning to training later in the day. The venue also serves as a resting place for some Japan citizens, and it is impossible that a thought was not spared by the players for their beloved friend Diogo Jota when it was time to reflect in solemn silence. Liverpool announced a series of further tributes for their number 20 on Saturday, and further tributes are planned for Wednesday friendly here, including a bespoke emblem on the players' shirts in memory of the popular Portuguese after his fatal car accident earlier this month. A sculpture at Anfield has been commissioned to further commemorate Jota, with discussions ongoing as to how it will look. Luis Diaz was part of the contingent that visited the temple, but he is now due to leave the group before wrapping up the formalities of his £65.5 million move to Bayern Munich, after an agreement was reached between the clubs on Sunday evening. He is now set to say his goodbyes to his colleagues ahead of medical with Bayern and in-house club duties with his new employers. It brings an end to a 3.5-year stay for the player affectionately known as Lucho on Merseyside, where he won 2 Carabao Cups, an FA Cup and, of course, the Premier League. The Colombia international will become the third most expensive sale of all time on Merseyside behind the £75 million switch that saw Luis Diaz join Barcelona in 2014 and the £142 million deal that also took Philippe Coutinho to the Catalan side 4 years later. How that sum is reinvested, as interest in want-away Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak goes on, will be fascinating in the coming days and weeks. It's understood sporting director Richard Hughes has flown out to Asia to be part of the contingent, which should theoretically make the time zone difference easier to navigate, should be enter intro dialogue with Newcastle's key decision-makers, with the Magpies due to touch down in Korea for their own Asian tour. They were beaten 3-2 by Arsenal on Sunday evening in Singapore. For now, though, Arne Slot is merely focusing on his preparation for Wednesday's game with J-League strugglers Yokohama F. Marinos at the Nissan Stadium. An open training session will be held overnight UK time, and the Echo will be in attendance when Slot and his staff put the players through their paces at around 10:30 a.m. local time in Tokyo on Tuesday morning. An event run by the LFC Foundation on Monday saw them put on a football clinic for young people at the British Embassy in Tokyo and featured a handful of former players including Sami Hyypiä and Lucas Leiva. Inside Alexander Isak transfer saga as Liverpool looks to get its next world-class striker. Speculation continues to grow over a potential move to Liverpool for Alexander Isak, with the striker's transfer saga having gone into overdrive over the past couple of weeks. This time last week, Liverpool's hopes of signing Alexander Isak this summer looked as though they might have been over. Since then, it's become clear that this transfer saga is far from over. Isak has been linked with a move to Anfield for some time now, although it wasn't until earlier this month that it seemed to have become a distinct possibility. Now, with the striker clearly unsettled and new reports suggesting Liverpool will soon be making a bid, it feels as though we could be getting a conclusion one way or the other soon, although don't be surprised to see it drag on for the remainder of the summer. Liverpool being linked with Isak is nothing new. In fact, the Swedish international was being linked with a move to Anfield back when Jurgen Klopp was manager, but when the opportunity arose in 2022, the German is said to have decided upon Darwin Núñez instead, a decision a lot of supporters will be looking back on now with regret. Isak would instead head to Newcastle from Real Sociedad, but the Liverpool speculation has followed him to St James' Park and gone into overdrive over recent months. He particularly caught the eye after scoring against the Reds in a 3-3 draw in the Northeast back in December, before tormenting Liverpool's defenders during the Carabao Cup final at Wembley in March as he fired Newcastle to its first domestic trophy in 70 years. By that time, it was clear Liverpool needed a new striker, despite the Reds cruising to the Premier League title. Núñez had fallen out of favour, and Luis Diaz was increasingly being used as a makeshift number 9. The latter is now on the verge of joining Bayern Munich, while the former still looks likely to leave the Reds this summer, increasing the need to find new forwards, even after the signing of Hugo Ekitike. Speaking of which, it is the Frenchman who could be considered the catalyst for the whole saga taking a dramatic turn. Up until a couple of weeks ago, although Isak was seen as Liverpool's dream signing, there had been no official approach to Newcastle, with any move for a striker looking as though it would come later in the window. That all changed though when the Magpies submitted a $94 million bid for Ekitike. Although the offer was turned down by Eintracht Frankfurt, it became clear Liverpool would have to make a move. And so, an approach was made to Newcastle, with the Reds making it clear they were willing to break their own transfer record again after signing Florian Wirtz in order to secure Isak. They were met with a firm no from the Magpies though, who insisted the striker was not for sale. Ibrahima Konate makes difficult Liverpool admission ahead of new season, finished now. Ibrahima Konate has warned Liverpool's new-look squad that the task of retaining the Premier League title will be more difficult than winning it last season. Ibrahima Konate is gearing up for a more difficult season as Liverpool aims to hold on to its Premier League title. The Reds are currently in Japan, wrapping up their pre-season Asia tour with a match against Yokohama F. Marinos on Wednesday. Once its pre-season preparations are over, Liverpool kicks off its Premier League defence at Anfield against Bournemouth on Friday, August 15, looking to retain the trophy for the first time since 1984. We just followed what he said and at the end we had a good result for the club. I think this season will be more difficult, because for sure we are happy and we don't have to forget last season, but we have to take the good parts of last season as well as the bad parts where we did not really great and work on that. We were champions last season and it's finished now, we have to go again and try to do something even better than last season. That's why the pre-season is very important. I know it's very difficult for everyone but we need these tough sessions to be ready for the season. Konate's future at Liverpool is shrouded in uncertainty as he enters the final year of his contract, with negotiations over an extension hitting a snag. Real Madrid, one of the clubs behind the European Super League, is believed to be eyeing a move for the defender on a free transfer next summer. Following Jarell Quansah's switch to Bayer Leverkusen earlier this month, Liverpool finds itself scouring the market for a new centre-back, with Crystal Palace captain Mark Guéhi catching their eye. The Red summer expenditure soared past $330 million after they secured French forward Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt for an upfront fee of $92 million just last week. However, Konate, in a chat with LiverpoolFC.com, has expressed his desire to temper expectations surrounding the club's recent signings. "We brought in some great players to this team but I don't want to put some pressure on them," he remarked. "We just have to give them the time to adapt because they don't know the Premier League now. But I'm sure with this team, with how the people in the team are around them, this adaptation will be easy for sure." Rodrygo preference emerges after Liverpool and Tottenham talks. A Spanish source has revealed where Rodrygo will prefer to go if he has the choice between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, as Real Madrid learn whether Arsenal and Manchester City are keen on the Brazil international forward. Both Liverpool and Tottenham have been active in the summer transfer window. While Liverpool are aiming to win back-to-back Premier League titles next season, Tottenham are determined to push on after clinching the Europa League in the 2024-25 campaign and qualifying for the Champions League. There have been 7 new additions to the Liverpool squad that was hugely successful in Arne Slot's first season in charge, while Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy has backed his new manager, Thomas Frank, with the signings of Mohamed Kudus and Konate'S, with loan deals for Kevin Danso and Mathys Tel made permanent and Luka Vuskovic also an option now. The North London club are not finished there, though, with reports claiming that Tottenham are planning an audacious raid on Madrid for Rodrigo. Rodrigo is one of the best players in the world and has won La Liga thrice and the Champions League twice with Madrid so far in his career. According to AS, Tottenham chairman Levy is keen on a summer deal for Rodrigo and wants the 24-year-old to be the crown jewel of Frank's new project. However, Spurs do not want to pay the €90 million, £78 million/ $105 million, transfer fee that Madrid are demanding for Rodrigo. Team Talk's transfer correspondent, Rudy Galletti, has reported that Liverpool want Rodrigo as a potential replacement for Luis Diaz, who is on his way to Bayern Munich. Sources have told Team Talk that Madrid want add-ons on top of the €90 million, £78 million/ $105 million, fixed fee for Rodrigo. On July 22, journalist Santi Auna reported on X that Liverpool and Rodrigo's camp have held direct talks. Auna has now claimed that although Tottenham have made an inquiry for the forward, he has no interest in a move to the North London club, dismissing a report in the English media that Rodrigo is willing to join Spurs. Writing on X at 8:15 p.m. on July 28, Auna noted, Rodrigo has no interest in joining Tottenham despite reports. Spurs made an inquiry, but there's no talk ongoing. If Rodrigo leaves Real Madrid, he's aiming for a bigger club than Tottenham. Journalist Ramon Alvarez de Mon has not totally dismissed Tottenham's chances of signing Rodrigo, but he has claimed that the Brazilian's preference is Liverpool. The reporter wrote on X at 12:13 p.m. on July 28, Tottenham are in talks for Rodrigo and are waiting to see if Liverpool make a move. No decision has been made on the player's part, and he could stay at Real Madrid.